Dreamer chapter 13. He was a man of his word, and as soon as darkness fell, he produced a small torch that was hidden in the mattress and shone it onto Jack's sleeping face. He jumped up to the sound of the bars being prized open and Dan hanging in and out of the ceiling. His giant hand reached out, grabbed hold of Jack's, and pulled him up with ease. Jack looked back at the cell and he knew that he wasn't going back there again. They scuttled across the ceiling like crabs, as swift and quiet as possible. Jack could see the guards below swinging their batons round. He hoped that they wouldn't look through the window in their door and see them gone. Jack's knees were hurting, but he knew that he couldn't stop. When they got to the end, Dan opened another window. "We need to go down there," he said, pointing a thick finger. Jack was not happy. They must have been 200 feet off the ground. He felt queasy looking down. Heights were not his strong point. Dan wrapped himself round the black oily drain pipe and climbed down with the ease of an orangutan. Then it was Jack's turn, and slowly, ever so slowly, he inched his way to the bottom. He daren't look down in case he would lose his footing. He almost slipped, and his heart nearly burst out of his chest. "Come on," hissed Dan, "move yourself," he said angrily. Jack jumped onto the gravel as the guards above him were playing cards. Now they only had one more fence to climb. Dan scaled it easily. He was like an Olympic athlete. Jack dug his boot into the wire mesh and prized himself upwards. Each step was difficult and tiring. When he got to the top, Jack grabbed his shirt and hoisted him over. His clothes were ripped and he was bathed in sweat, but he had made it. They were out. They headed for the trees under cover of darkness as the sirens blared out and the searchlight skimmed over their shadows. It was too late. They were free. Jack rushed through the woods. He was careful not to stumble over the branches which threatened to injure him. Dan was shouting at him to hurry up, and the last thing he wanted to do was make him even more angry. They came to a fast-flowing river, and they had no choice but to cross, as the barking of the dogs grew in the distance. Dan waded into the water, and he was totally fearless. In just 3 minutes he had crossed to the other side, and he was not waiting. Jack slowly went up to his waist, and the coldness of the river shocked him. He didn't want to go any further, but he had no choice. He felt a trail of stones beneath his feet, and he carefully walked on them as the strong current swirled around him, making him shake. The last stone was big and slippy, and Jack lost his footing and fell head first into the cold, dirty water. He kicked his legs to propel himself forward, but the current was too strong and seemed determined to claim him. It was like being in a washing machine, he thought, and it was speeding up. The water was sucking him under, and he was crying out for help, but Dan was long gone. Round and round he went in the vortex. It was like falling in a black hole. He raised his hand one more time before he succumbed to the power of the water and the total darkness.